I'm Sheelagh Bevan, the Andrew W. Mellon Associate Curator in the Department of Printed Books and Bindings. And today I'm going to show you one of the supreme treasures of the Morgan's 20th century collections, an artist book, The Prose of the Trans-Siberian and of Little Jeanne of France. This is a book published in 1913 in Paris, and it was a collaboration between the Swiss poet Blaise Cendrars and the Ukrainian painter Sonia Delaunay. Blaise Cendrars was a Swiss writer who settled in France at a very revolutionary moment in the European arts. He wrote in virtually every genre of literature, and although he only wrote poetry for about a dozen or so years, what he did write was really transcendent and magic. And to read his poetry today, it's really astonishing how contemporary it still feels. It still sounds so contemporary because he was really doing something very radical at the time, and that was sort of breaking free of all poetic convention in terms of punctuation, in terms of verse forms, diction. There were just sort of no rules what he was doing, and he was writing in everyday language. There was a sense that the whole world and the experience of living could be taken in and made the subject of writing. Violence, beauty, war, just the everyday minutiae of life, all of that could be transformed into poetry. The Prose of the Trans-Siberian is a very long poem, as you can see. It's 446 lines, and Cendrars was writing it when he met the painters Robert and Sonia Delaunay. So it was Sonia Delaunay who was really responsible for the presentation of La Prose du Trans-Siberian in book form. They called it the first simultaneous book. And the use of the word simultaneous there refers to the simultaneous contrast of colors, which was a concept adapted from 19th century color theory, which was interested in the optical effects of different colors being adjacent. The juxtaposition of text and image itself becomes a kind of contrast where the text is color, and then within the text you have different colored inks. It engendered in the viewer this sensation of movement, a sense of rhythm, depth, emotion. It even just sort of challenged the notion of reading, right? It's more than 6.5 feet long. When you're standing right in front of it, it really looks like a painting, but it's also print. And that is, it was created by rendering her complicated abstract design into a series of stencils. The poem takes place on a train. It's narrated by a poet named Blaise, and he's traveling on the Trans-Siberian Railroad from Moscow to China, interwoven with this flux of memory, of imagination, and of storytelling. And he's sitting next to a young woman named Jeanne, and occasionally she sort of pops up out of nowhere and poses this question repeatedly, which can be translated as, "Say, Blaise, tell me, are we really that far from Montmartre?" The poem just goes everywhere. He could really capture what it was like to be alive. The Morgan acquired its copy as a donation from the art historian Gail Levin, and it was a very personal copy for her, as it is for us. And this copy is inscribed by Cendrars to the synchronist painter Morgan Russell. The Prose of the Trans-Siberian is so astonishingly beautiful, but it's also this sort of icon of breaking all the rules, right, and of rewriting them, pushing everything to the limit and challenging what it means to read a book.